Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
All right, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we have an exciting special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Samantha Brainerd. I am a mom, a wife, a model in Mrs. Missouri.
And how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing pretty good, enjoying the cold weather here in Virginia.
Yes. Same
So
here.
tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into, the modeling aspect of things.
Yeah, so modeling was always something that I was interested in. And when I was younger, I dabbled in it, but I mainly focused on getting a career. And now that I'm older, an adult, I'm well established, I wanted to take that opportunity now to get back into it. And this past year, I've been really successful in modeling. So it's been a great adventure.
So can you take us through kind of how that process works of when you first started, how you got into it to where you are now?
Definitely. So I would always look for opportunities when they needed models for certain things, whether it was small organizations or local businesses. Something that I looked for was groups, just making connections. So I made a lot of connections through Facebook groups on photographers and other models. And so you can kind of partner with local people to see they need a model for this or how I can help them out, that sort of thing. So it's all about making connections, especially with being safe out there. You want to make sure you know the people that you're working with. So when I joined these groups, it was just a good opportunity to get experience and meet new people.
Yeah, and I would imagine, in no matter what field you're in, connections are everything. It's not, just who you know. It's who's willing to say they know you and you know put their name out there for you.
Definitely. And you never know who knows who. So it's always need to be professional and be your authentic self because you never know. I've had so many people come up to me and be like, oh, I know you from this, or I know this person. And it's just you want to make sure you treat everyone with respect.
Exactly. So how does the photo shoot go once you get booked and you arrive to do that?
So I always connect with them ahead of time to see what the photo shoot's about, what they're envisioning for the shoot. I have a model bag that I just have a go-to everything for, but I will also bring different outfits depending on what the shoot is, just so that there's options. And then my model bag has all the necessities that you need that you just want to bring with you everywhere just in case.
Awesome. So as far as jumping into Miss Missouri, what kind of process is that?
Yeah. So I am Mrs. Missouri for Petite USA. It is a pageant for short girls. And they define that as a 5'6" and under. I am 5'2", except for I'm 5'7" with my heels on. So I actually did pageants when I was younger. I did National American Miss, which was an all natural pageant. And then I had my daughter. I am almost 30, and I just wanted to show my daughter that at any age, you can follow your dreams, you can do the things that you're passionate about. I use my passion for pageants for food insecurity. That is my platform. I work with a lot of different charities, but that one is something that really affected me as a child. So being able to use the pageant, not about just being beautiful or anything like that, but it's about using that platform to make a difference in your community. So that's what I'm doing now is just trying to be the best example I can be for my daughter.
And that's awesome. Some of the charities that are out there, especially when it comes to eating disorders and things that go on with people personally, it's great to see people jump in and try to raise money for the cause.
Definitely. So food insecurity is something that I went through. It is all about not having food, not knowing where your next meal is going to come from. I was raised by a single mom who did everything she could for us. But there were times where she wouldn't eat so that I could, or we were waiting in line for food banks. I would go to events at school just to get food. And that's something that's still like the things that happened then still affect me today. Now I'm in a place where I can't afford food. I know that there's always someone out there who has it worse than me. So now I have the opportunity to give back because at that time I wouldn't have made it here if other people didn't feed me, if they didn't help me out then.
Kind of paying it forward,
Definitely. I feel like it's paying it backwards, but yeah, definitely.
right? So as far as getting into, I don't really know if it's getting into shape for the competitions, but getting ready for them, whether it be the pageants or getting ready for a photo shoot. Um, is there a certain process that you follow to make sure you're in great shape to go, or is it just one of those things where you've always kind of been with the regimen that you're on?
So I would say I don't necessarily like get fit for pageants or for modeling. I have found that nowadays people are more open, more accepting to different body types, which is fantastic. For my pageant and more pageants, they're opening up to more body sizes, more age groups. Like my group is anybody over 18 who's married, no matter like what the size, as long as you're short. But they also have the older group, the elite division, which is 45 plus. So I think that's really cool. In modeling, I have worked with a lot of people who are bigger than me, who are smaller than me. So that hasn't been so much um, something that I'm getting ready for. But I do try to stay healthy. I've always struggled with my health, my physical health. And last year, I got my gallbladder taken out. So that definitely affected what I could and couldn't eat. But I've always kind of been this size. I definitely gained weight after my baby and wanted to get back to a healthy weight. But then going through the gallbladder situation, I really had to watch what I was eating. So now it's more so I watch my weight, I exercise just to be healthy and to be here for a long time for my family. I still have a lot of life to live, and so that's why I work out.
And see, that's amazing to hear that, when it comes to the modeling side of things and the pageants and stuff, that they have kind of gotten rid of the stereotypes and you know, are including everybody, which is amazing.
Yes,
That they have it for, short people, tall people, it's one of those things where, when I was growing up, I'm almost 40, but when I was growing up, you didn't have that. Whenever you picked up a magazine, it was always these skinny, fit people, and
definitely.
that you know that's not good for people's self-esteem who are a little bit on the bigger side.
Oh, I totally agree. And I'm not saying that's everywhere. Like, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But I totally agree with that. Like, when I was younger, I wanted to get into modeling, and it didn't work out as well as it does now. Like, before, I was told you'll never be in a runway show because you're short, you're not stick thin, and I'm pretty thin. But they wanted me to be even smaller than what I was. And now I've been in 6 runway shows this year. Like I've done it. I've done everything like I wanted to do when I was a child as far as modeling. And so I definitely see that there's been change and we just got to continue to make that change.
Exactly, and I couldn't agree more. With going back to the Miss Missouri, what I would imagine there's some kind of commitment that goes along with it, but what kind of responsibilities come along with that?
So I am representing my state, Missouri. And so with that, they want us to choose a platform that means something to us. They don't want just a pretty face to just show up. They really want us to use our titles to help our community. So that's why I chose the food insecurity, because that's something that's affected me personally. And I know that it affects so many people. Just here in St. Louis, there's over 200,000 people who are affected by this. So the requirements, they kind of let us do whatever we want to do with our title, but like I'm just a person who is always trying to find something to do, whether it's exercise to make myself better or it's giving back to the community through different organizations. So with the title, we'll be competing this July, end of July, July 31st through August 3rd in Chicago. So, really, this is just a time to take our state platform, see what we can do with it. That way, when we go to the national pageant, see what we can do on a national level.
So how does that work on the national level?
Yeah. So, right now, I am working with food banks here in St. Louis. Also, want to connect with different schools to pay back overdue lunch balances. So once I do that on a state level, then I can kind of branch out to the things that I'm doing here. I'll have a bigger platform to connect with people across the country and see what ways they can connect, what small ways that they can give back to their communities.
Excellent, excellent. So as far as charities that you work for, is uh, the one that we were just talking about? Sorry, my
No,
brain went blank. Is that one the only charity that you work for, or do anything for other than like food banks and things like that?
no, so that's the one like I'm most focused on because I feel like it's affected me, but it's also a lot of different ways that I can go about it, like with different schools, with our food bank here in St. Louis. But I do work with other charities. Right now, I do Pedal the Cause, which is for cancer research here in St. Louis. I also volunteer at Mercy Hospital. That's just like our local hospital. I recently did the the giving machine, which came to Missouri. Actually, came to our mall, and so that was a really great one where they had a vending machine that not only had local charities, but they had charities from all over the world. So people would just come up and like give back. So I just try to like find different opportunities within my city that I can go volunteer, whether it's for my platform or not. Like if I have time to give back, then I want to try to do that.
And that's amazing to hear that you're wanting to change what's going on in your local community. I mean, if we all did that, wherever we live,
Yeah,
that would help a great deal. You wouldn't have as many people living on the streets. You wouldn't have, you know, kids not being able to eat or people in general not having enough.
right.
You know, and I can get behind that just because, as a child, we didn't have much either. And it was one of those things where you had to fight for everything pretty much.
Definitely. Yeah, and I'm still going through like the effects of that. Like I always get stressed if my card's going to go through at the store, even though like I know we're financially fine. Or walking past a vending machine. I remember I used to like dreading walking past vending machines because I would be starving and I could see the food right there, but I couldn't get to it. So just like the little things like that, like I always make sure my family has enough food, and so it's still things that affect me, even though like I'm financially fine now and know that I don't have to worry about my next meal. But I remember going through that, and I don't want other people to have to go through that, especially children. There's always someone out there who's has it worse than you, and I think people think that you have to put in a lot of time or a lot of money to give back, and that's not the case. Like, I overcook now, so I know I bought too many green beans for the green bean casserole. Now I can go donate those green beans that I already have in my pantry that I know I'm not going to use. So you can just do things like that, like little things that don't take much money or don't take much of your time to give back. Just take a second to do that, and it'll have big effects on other people.
Exactly. And I know here where I live in Roanoke, at some of the stores that we've got here, they have little donation boxes where you can donate food, you can donate meals, you know, our food banks here, if you can't donate stuff like that, you can always just donate your time. Go in and help them make the meals and help them serve everybody. It's not like you said. It's not always about being financially supportive towards people. It's what can you do to help them in any way, and then the end result of that is not only you helping somebody, but you're also helping yourself.
Definitely. Yeah. Like another example is like we do a charity here, Every Child's Hope, which is a orphanage that helps not only children but also like families who are struggling. And my company always does a toy drive for them. I remember getting a Barbie from the fire department when I was young. Like that's something that was so simple, but I remember it to this day, like how important that was to me. So just like the littlest things or any time that you have, I think it's just important to give back because it does make a difference in people's lives. I remember the people who helped me get to where I am today.
And looking at that too from a different perspective is, as adults, sometimes we forget, what it's like to be that age and know that what transpires when you're young, you will carry through the rest of your life, whether it be in good ways or bad.
Definitely.
And, I think that's what's lost upon some of our society, and not, a whole lot of people, but a fair majority where they don't really want to help, and the end result of that is we end up getting a generation coming up that has had horrible experiences and nobody to help them out, and then they grow up to be, that type of person where, you didn't help me, so I'm not going to help the next person, kind of thing.
Right. No, I get that. And the thing about it is just like there are probably people that you know that have food insecurities. Like people, like I was always a person who represented myself well, who held myself together, like was that person, but I was starving. And so it's just like, even just like your friends that you can help out, like invite your friends that you know may have that situation. Like, first of all, like be honest if you need help. But also, like, if you know a friend is just like eating pizza every day, have a dinner. Just invite your friends over for a game night. Something simple where you're helping out your friends can go a long way. Because you don't know what it looks like. It's not just like skeleton people, it's people of all sizes that are going through this, either not having accessibility to food or nutritious food. Like someone eating ramen noodle every day. Yes, they're getting fed, but that is not a healthy diet.
Exactly. And, I couldn't agree more. I've not been in that situation per se, but I've known people that have. And my wife and I did that exact same thing. Sometimes we'd go over to their house and cook. Sometimes they'd come over here and cook, and just that little bit goes a long way, because then if you're ever in any kind of dire straits, whatever that may be, they're going to be there to help you out too, because you help them.
Definitely. It might not be the same way that they help you back, but there are other ways they can help you. Like I've worked in an office where we've had like really young guys fresh out of college and they don't really have like a family yet, and so like I'll bring food to the office. It'll be for everyone, but I know that it's helping them. I don't have to single them out, but I could still help them by just like bringing in leftovers that I don't want to go to waste, or bringing in a snack for everyone that's inexpensive, but to them like that was a godsend.
Exactly. I couldn't say it better than that. It's helping people, even though it's not the ultimate goal. Helping people is always just a good thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's it helps you be a better person. It shows you some humility, or makes you learn some humility, I should say. And then at the same point, you kind of can get a feeling of what your neighbor's going through.
Yes. I'm always that person who tries to put myself in other people's shoes. And even if you're not that person, then like things come back around, whether it's like fate or destiny or whatever, like things come back around. If you're helping out someone else, that person helps another person, maybe that third person helps you back. You don't know like what's going to happen. Maybe you get nothing out of it, but you helping someone else is the reason why I think that we're here. We're not just here to like take care of ourselves and die. Like we're here to contribute to society and make it better for the next generation. And in turn, when you're old and can't take care of yourself, someone's going to be taking care of you. And it's just a circle that keeps going. So you want to make the best mark that you can while you're here.
Exactly, exactly. So, as far as where people can find you on social media, where can they find you and see some of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Sammie Star Brainerd. So SAMMISTAR and then Brainerd BRAINERD. That's where I post every single day. I don't post as much on Facebook. I feel like Facebook, I do kind of just my own thing. But Instagram's where I post a lot of my stuff for modeling. This year, I want to share more tips about like behind the scenes and just being safe and trying not to get wrapped up into scams. Just tips like that for people who are interested in modeling. But as far as the pageant, that's where I'll be sharing all my pageant stuff as well and what I'm doing in my community.
Excellent. And, one last question for you. If you had to tell somebody who wants to get into modeling, give them some advice on what to do and how to get started.
Yeah, I would say to get started, I would definitely practice in the mirror, see like the different poses. I looked up the different types of modeling. There are lots of different types, so you want to see like what you're interested in, um, and just like focus on that. If you are not someone, for instance, who likes boudoir, then that's not something you need to focus on. I would join different groups, whether it's on Facebook or other platforms where you can meet local photographers and models. That way you can find opportunities near you. And then I would just get curious. I looked a lot on TikTok and on Google about the different modeling things, and I just gotten connected with people, and from there you make connections, and it just like keeps growing from there. You learn, you meet people, you grow. So I think that's a good way to get started. There are things that you're going to come across like call cards and your digitals and all of that, but first and foremost you just need to start making connections with local people.
Excellent, excellent. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time out to talk to me today. I don't want to keep you too long because I know you got things you've got to do. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing how things go for you next July, and hopefully you win that one.
I hope so. I appreciate
And
you having me on.
absolutely, and I'd love to have you back on. Once that's over to see how things were and kind of touch base.
Yeah, definitely. We could definitely do this next year, end of next year, after everything's settled. See what impact we made.
That's right. Sounds good. Well, listen, I hope you have a good rest of the afternoon and a happy new year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Down, down.